Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnanadimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mada cha Pida Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amriteshwari Mam Tvameva Sarvam Amriteshwari Mam Tvameva Sarvam Amriteshwari Mam. Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Let's begin with a short meditation. Kindly make sure your vertebral column is straight and slowly close your eyes. Just feel the relaxation. Watch your breath, and as you breathe in and out, feel relaxed. Now we'll chant Om. And as we chant Om, imagine the sound of Om to arise from your navel area and visualize the sound traveling upwards along your spine. Now kindly take a deep breath. Now feel the reverberations of Om, both inside and outside of you. Feel completely relaxed. Now as you switch your awareness to your breathing, become a Sakshi, a witness of each and every breath that passes through your body. Now as you breathe in, chant the syllable, the mantra Ma, silently along with your in-breath. Hold your breath for a brief moment, about 5 seconds. Then while breathing out, chant Om. So Ma, when you breathe in, and Om when you breathe out. Don't hold your breath too long, just sufficient enough to develop the awareness. And continue like this. Ma, Om, Ma, Om. Slowly and slowly the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle. And you feel the depth of silence in your heart. Ma is a representation of divine love, and Om, divine light. Feel the love and light in your heart. And as you feel it, imagine your heart opening like a beautiful flower. Feel the love, feel the light, feel the bliss, the peace and the compassion in your heart. Now as we conclude, imagine a ray of light going out from your heart to all the beings, just like the rays of the sun. And as the light falls on each and every one of them, imagine they also become more loving, more peaceful, more blissful, and more compassionate. And while doing so, we'll chant the Loka Samasta prayer 9 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Davlavagundhanavatim Tejomayim Naishtikim Snigdha-pangavilokiniim bhagavatim mandasmidashrimukhim Valsalyamritavarshiniim sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangi madhusikta suktim Amridanandakmikam Ishwarim Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram Srude Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishwarau Guru Ragmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. In the last session, we saw that Hiranyakashipu was killed by Lord Narasimha, and then Lord Narasimha took Prahlada and put him on his lap and gave him so much of love and asked him that he should ask for any boons that he wanted. But Prahlada did not want any other boons but to stop all his desires. So he said, he asked only for one boon, give me the boon where all my desires would stop and there would be no more desire. And Narasimha, which is a Amsha avatar or a partial avatar of Lord Vishnu, blessed Prahlada and said that he would rule the Asuric kingdom, and he will be ruling for about 365,000 years or something like that. And what happened was also blessed him that in the end, he will attain to liberation. So, what happened was, as you might remember, in the beginning, Lord Yudhishthira, or King Yudhishthira, was asking this question to Lord Narada during the Rajasuya Yajna. So there will be always confusion because basically the narration is by Lord Shuka to Parikshit. That's where it started, when Parikshit was cursed to be bitten by the snake. And Lord Shuka came and he was giving advice to Parikshit as to how to overcome death. And suddenly, in between now, Yudhishthira and Narada comes. And so you might ask this question, where did they come from? Because Yudhishthira was, in one sense, a great grandfather of Parikshit. And so this was the situation where when the Rajasuya Yajna, the sacrifice was going on, where King Yudhishthira was celebrating his victory, he had asked this question to Lord Narada, how did this Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, who were the enemies of Lord Vishnu, attain to moksha? And even great devotees could not, and they were just enemies, and how did they achieve liberation? So Lord Narada was answering this question. So while answering this question, he says, when we hear this, the story of Narasimha and Prahlada, a man reaches the state where they will go beyond all fears. And the destruction of Hiranyakashipu and his Asuric forces, and also the holy story of Prahlada and his son and prince among the devotees. So now he says to Yudhishthira, look, you sons of the Pandu, so they were the sons of the king Pandu, are the most fortunate among men. Why? Because he says, for the supreme Brahman who is here, it is Lord Krishna, is himself residing here with you under the guise of a human being. So Lord Krishna has come amongst you as just as an ordinary human being. And sages whose footsteps purify the place they tread are flocking from all sides to meet him. And he says, he, the Krishna, is that very Brahman sought after by the greatest of the sages. The bliss of liberation intuited in unity of understanding. So one who understands the unity in diversity only will understand the Lord. And that Lord, he says, in Wonder of Wonder is that he stays with you, playing several parts with you as your dear friend, well-wisher, uncle, son, worshipful teacher, servant, and your very self. So he's taken all these different roles and he's in midst of you. And you have failed to recognize his true form. And he says, and Lord Narada says, even Brahma, Shiva, and others have not been able to determine by their intellect who Lord Krishna or his real form is. And may he be propitious to us through our observance of silence and other vows, the control of the senses, and the cultivation of bhakti. So how do you understand him? How do you know him? So that's what he's saying, through the observance of silence and other vows, that is through different spiritual practices, and the control of the senses and the cultivation of bhakti, devotion. And now he says, O king, it was the worshipful Lord Vishnu who restored and re-established the reputation of Lord Rudra, which was gravely affected by the nefarious practices of Maya, the asura of great magical powers. So he's saying, even Lord Shiva was affected by the Maya, who's an asura, means a demon, and who has great magical powers. So now he goes to here he's going to elaborate on what was happening. So now Raja Yudhishthira said, or he is asking this question to Sage Narada. In what ways did Maya cause damage to the reputation of Rudra? And how did Lord Krishna restore it once again? Rudra is Lord Shiva. That's another name for him. And Narada said, when the Asuras were once defeated by the Devas, whose power had been enhanced by Mahavishnu, they took shelter with Maya, the master of magical arts. The master craftsman that he was, Maya built for them 3 large flying fortresses of gold, silver, and iron, which could move about invisibly and had unique kinds of equipments and inconceivable by anyone. So what did they, the master craftsman, as he was saying, Maya, who was also an asura, built these large flying fortresses. And so, he says, O king, the Asura leaders, keeping their old antagonism in mind, moved about all over the world unseen, destroying everything that they came across. Thereupon the three worlds with their leader approached Sri Rudra and prayed, Omnipotent and worshipful one, the Tripuras, Tripuras means the masters of the three flying fortresses, have almost destroyed us. Thy dependents deign to protect us. So he says, deign to protect us. So he says, we are your dependents, so please protect us from these demons. And the worshipful Lord Rudra gave them assurance of safety, and then took his bow and arrow and shot at the vehicles of the Tripuras. So he shot at the invisible moving fortresses. And then from that arrow, countless arrows burning and brilliant like the sun's rays went up to the sky and hit the fortresses of the air by their brilliance. And struck by the arrows of divine powers, all the asuras occupying them fell down dead. But Maya took them all and revived them by putting them into the pond of Amrita. Amrita is the ambrosia, imparting immortality. So when you drink the nectar, that is known as Amrita or Amritam, sometimes as it's known as, so what happens, you are revived, you come back from death. So what he did was, whenever Lord Rudra killed all of them, what did the Maya do? He just took the asuras and put them in the pond of Amrita, nectar of immortality. And coming into contact with the ambrosia, fortified by mantras, all the dead asuras became alive, with bodies strong as iron, and rose up like flashes of lightning from the clouds. Seeing Rudra despondent because of the failure of his plan, Mahavishnu adopted a stratagem to help them. So now, Lord Shiva was helpless, because every time he was sending all his arrows, Maya was taking them and putting them in the pond of the ambrosia of immortality. And so Mahavishnu then took the form of a cow, and Brahma the creator, became its calf. One noon, they went to the pond of ambrosia at the residence of the asuras and drank up all its contents. These asuras, though they saw it all, did not do anything to prevent it, as they fell under a spell cast of Mahavishnu. So what did Mahavishnu do? He put a spell cast on asuras, and then in the form of a cow, accompanied by Brahma, the creator, as a calf, went and drank the whole pond of Amrita. And coming to know all this, the great magician Maya addressed the protectors of that pond of ambrosia, himself free from sorrow, because of his acceptance of divine will. At the back of all happenings, he told those sorrow-stricken asuras, neither devas nor asuras nor men can alter the fate involving sufferings and enjoyments which the divine will decrease. Afterwards, Mahavishnu himself brought into existence by his power all the weapons and other equipment required by Shiva to fight. And by his divine excellences like righteousness, knowledge, renunciation, lordliness, austerity, learning, creative will, etc., he brought into existence a chariot, a charioteer, flagstaff, vehicles, bow, armor, arrows, and all other equipment. So what did Mahavishnu do? So, as when he drank this pond of Amritam, the nectar of immortality, Maya the, who was also the Asura, the great Asura, said to his fellow brothers, said that, neither devas, means the divine beings, nor the asuras, the demonic beings, nor men, the human beings, what did he say, cannot alter the fate and the sufferings and the enjoyments which the divine will decrease. So you cannot change your fate. So if Mahavishnu has done this, it is your fate to go through this, and I cannot help you. So what did Mahavishnu come up with? He came up with all these divine weapons. So there is an allegory, also inner meaning into this story. Sometimes the Guru, in the form of Lord Shiva, he is also the Adi Guru, the first Guru, helps us to defeat all the negativities in our mind, right? And what happens? Then, after some time, when you think that they have receded, then suddenly you see an army of all these negativities coming up and swelling up in your mind. And you are helpless. What do you think you can do? So what happens? So you just have to surrender. And then what happens is, then Mahavishnu, also the Guru in a different form, takes all these weapons. What are they weapons? Righteousness, knowledge, renunciation, lordliness, austerity, learning, and creative will. So these are the weapons they are recommending. So what happens is, once you have surrendered, you still have to use all these divine weapons, which are, knowledge and renunciation, Lord and austerity and learning. So all these things. So as you see, what Amma is giving us, all these weapons also to us every day. And through the children, Amma is teaching us also. And she's asking us to have the right knowledge and to have walk on the path of righteousness. And then as a result of this knowledge also, we have the right renunciation. So what happens is, Amma is giving us that all these weapons to us. So he brought, that is Mahavishnu, brought into existence a chariot, a charioteer, flagstaff, and all these things, all the other equipments. So Rudra, now ready for fight, ascended the chariot, bow and arrow in hand. O king, during the auspicious time at mid-noon, known as the Abhijit, Rudra shot his arrow and burned up the 3 moving citadels of the Tripuras. So what are these Tripuras? The 3, you can say 3 koshas. No, there's Pancha koshas. There's 3 states. Also, we can say 3 states. That is wakeful state, and the deep sleep state, and dream state. We can say also the physical body, subtle body, and the causal body. So all these things, you can think about all these things also. So they are shooting the arrows. So so what you have to do, you have to go beyond these 3. And Tripudi, that is also the creation, creator, and the object of creation. So all these things we have to go beyond this. So that is what they're fighting. We are fighting against all these things. So Rudra, that is when did he shoot it? He chose an auspicious time. What is that? Which is known as Abhijit. So if you know a little bit of horoscope, they always say, if you want to choose a muhurta, a good time, choose noon, 12 o'clock. And during that time, you don't have to look at whether it's a good time or bad time. It is known as Abhijit. And at 12 o'clock, you are free to do anything. Means start something auspicious, not inauspicious. So if you want to start something auspicious, you don't have to worry about whether it is good or a good timing or not. Just start at 12 noon. So he's saying at this time, mid-noon, and also in India also, and what happens, the sun is above the head, straight above the head at noon. And so you have the support of the sun also. So the whole divine power is behind you. So that's what happens. And then Rudra shot his arrow and burnt up the 3 moving citadels. And what happened was they were destroyed. And kettle drums began to sound in the heavens. The large number of celestials who arrived in aerial vehicles cried, "Hail!" and showered flowers and sang in great joy. Hosts of heavenly nymphs danced. So you can expect all these things when you get realization, right? That aerial vehicles will be there, and there will be flowers singing of joy, and women standing on both sides, or whatever it is, men. So having thus destroyed the 3 moving fortresses, that destroyer of citadels, returned to his abode amidst the hymns of praise sung by Brahma and others. The whole world is purified by the hymns and narratives composed by the rishis, extolling the sportive actions of the Lord in his incarnation as man, assuming his own yoga maya. And I've been narrating all this till now. What should I speak next? So this question is asked by Sage Narada to Yudhishthira. So he's saying that, I have told you all these things where Lord had his incarnation as a human being. And how did he do that? By assuming his own yoga maya. So he is saying that Lord assumed his own power of illusion or maya, and that's how he did it. In one sense, we can experience that during Devi Bhava, and in ordinary Bhava also of Amma. And when we see the Devi Bhava, it's completely different from the ordinary Bhava. In olden times, I remember, when we used to be so nervous to go near Amma during Devi Bhava, because she was, actually glowing with so much of power or effulgence that you used to be so afraid to go near her. But nowadays, it's, Amma just completely covered herself with Maya, and she acts so naturally and as if nothing has happened. And at the end of Devi Bhava, as you can see, when she comes out, she's just an ordinary woman, acting like an ordinary woman. And all this, the time where she was sitting during Devi Bhava, you can see that, it was nothing to her. So it changes quite fast, and Amma changes quite fast also. How? Because of the power of her Maya, the illusion of how she embodies or, she shows each one of us who she is. So he's saying that the same with the power of his illusion, Lord Krishna was acting like an ordinary human being amongst you. So he's telling Yudhishthira that. So Sri Shuka said, now Sri Shuka, remember, Sri Shuka was narrating the story. And now he says, Yudhishthira was asking Lord Narada was asking, what should I say next? So Yudhishthira now was delighted to hear the story of Prahlada, the prince among devotees and the pick among great men, a story that had received respectful recognition in the assemblies of holy men. He then put more questions to Narada. O worshipful one, I wish to know about the eternal religion of man, together with the practice of the way of life according to the laws of Varnas and the ashramas, by means of which man attains knowledge and devotion. And you are the son of Brahma, and among his sons, the one noted for austerity, practice of concentration, and perfection in spiritual communion. The saving truth is known only to holy personages like you, who are devoted to Narayana and who are endowed with universal benevolence and perfect tranquility of mind. So now, Yudhishthira is now interested in knowing what? The eternal religion of man. What is that? Sanatana Dharma. And the way and the practice of way of life. And according to the laws of Varnas and Ashramas. So the Varnas means the castes, different castes. And Ashramas is the the stages in life, not the meaning the physical ashram where there is a spiritual center. So don't confuse with the spiritual center. It is the stages of life. They have the 4 ashramas which has been enunciated by the scriptures. One is the brahmacharya. The first one is brahmacharya, then grahasthasrama, then vanaprastha, and then sannyasasrama. So these 4 ashramas are there. So first one is brahmacharya, where the person is a celibate. Whether it be a man or a woman doesn't matter. They are celibates. They are growing up when they are youth. They are celibates. And then after that, they slowly graduate into grahasthasrama, where they become family, have family, and they become part of the family. So grahastha means one who holds the graham, that is the house. So becomes a householder. Then vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means going towards the forest. So becomes a forest dweller. And meaning they go into the forest and start doing their severe spiritual practices. And finally sannyasa, where they completely renounce everything. So he's saying, you are the son of Brahma. Sage Narada was created by Brahma as his Manasa Putra. That is his mental. He was created out of his mental ability to create, and the power of his ability to create, and his sankalpa. And so he's a sankalpa putra, that is a son who was born out of his sankalpa. And among his sons, and then one noted for austerity and concentration and perfection in spiritual communion. So he's saying that it is you who can explain all these things. And he's saying that only people who like you, who are devoted to Narayana, which is the Supreme Brahman, or you can say Lord Narayana, Lord Vishnu, and so who can understand because of the perfect tranquility of mind. So Narada said, saluting the Supreme Being. So always they say a prayer. So first of all, as just like as we say, my prostrations at the feet of Amma, our Supreme Guru, like that he says, I am saluting the Supreme Being, the birthless one, and the teacher of the worlds. I shall expound to you the eternal religion of man, as I heard from Lord Narayana himself. So where did he get it from, this knowledge? It is directly from Lord Narayana himself. And incarnating as
himself as by a part of his as the Nara Narayana, the son of Dharma Prajapati by his wife Murti. He is to this day staying at Badrika Ashrama, performing austerities for the good of the world. So now he's saying that he, in one of the incarnations, he incarnated as the son of Dharma Prajapati. These Prajapatis, as we know, that were also the Manasa Putras, or who were created by Brahma, and his wife Murti. So he became the son of the couple, and where is he? He's in Badrika Ashrama, up in the Himalayas, and performing austerities. Why? For the good of the world. And the worshipful Hari, the supreme embodiment of all divinities, is the source of dharma. Also, what has been given out by men of spiritual illumination, established in the supreme truth, is considered as authority. By the practice of this dharma, man attains peace. So, he says, where did it come from? Dharma came from. Who was the source? It was the Lord himself. And what happened is, the supreme authority for dharma is the supreme truth himself, herself or himself. And why was this dharma created? Dharma was created to have peace. So what do we mean by dharma? That is a question, right? So there is a lot of explanation about dharma. Dharma means duty. Dharma means our highest duty also. And then for each individual, there is a Vishesha Dharma, that is one particular pertaining to that particular individual. And then there is also the Samanya Dharma, that is common to everyone. So I'm not just going into the details, but Amma gives a beautiful example about Samanya Dharma. While we drive on the road, how are we supposed to drive? Here in the US, it's always on the right side of the door, on the road. What happens if you go on the left side? So it's like one man was driving, and he suddenly calls his wife and says, I think, all the other cars are going in the opposite direction. So the wife, who was watching the TV, and the TV announcer was saying that there is a car going in the opposite lane in the wrong direction, and the police are trying to catch up with him and hold him. So then she says, oh, it is you who is going in that, the lane. So it's like that. So we don't understand what is Samanya Dharma, because it is applicable to everyone. And if we go against it, what happens? It is of grave danger to not only to us, but to everyone else. So we have to follow these dharmas. And when we follow this dharma, what happens? We are in tune with everyone, and also in tune with nature, and in tune with the divine will as well. So it has been who created this rule that it should be on the right side? So it was the government, right? So the government created a rule that all the vehicles should be driving on the right side of the road. So similarly, this dharma has been created by the Supreme Being. And so what happens is, if we follow this dharma, it is actually good for us, and we should not give any other problem to others. And then, as I said, when we follow these rules, it is why? It is to achieve peace of mind. Nothing else. That is the main reason. Why? Because when we follow these rules, which has been created by the Creator himself, then it brings about the harmony in life, and through which we achieve peace. And as I said, the Vishesha Dharma means the particular dharma changes from individual to individual. See, for example, your dharma and my dharma is different. As a sannyasin, if I think tomorrow, I want to go to and do, go and get drunk and go into a party and do whatever I want, what's wrong with it? There is nothing wrong in one sense, but I'm going against my dharma. So will I get any peace of mind if I do that? I should have the knowledge that I shouldn't do such stupid things in life. And that's why I became a sannyasin. So one thing is, so I have a particular dharma, and I should follow that dharma. And if I follow that dharma, what happens? That is beneficial not only to me, but a lot of other people. Because many others are also looking upon me or you, who are devotees of Amma, to follow what you are doing. And you are, unfortunately or fortunately, you are a role model to them. So whatever you do, they will imitate. So we have to act in such a way that we follow our dharma. And as I said, the other example that Amma says is when also the dharma changes from situation to situation, time to time. And so it's very difficult to know what the correct dharma is. See, for example, Amma was saying the example of a doctor when he goes to the hospital. He has to act like a doctor. He's a surgeon. Suppose he's a surgeon. He goes to the hospital and he cuts open the body of patients and repairs them and stitches them and puts them back. Why? Because he's giving them consolation. He's healing them. But instead, when he comes home also and starts cutting open the body of his wife or children, then what happens? It's just the opposite. So when he comes home, he has a different dharma as a father or as a husband or as a brother or uncle or grandfather. So all these various roles come into play according to the position, according to the time, according to the situation. Another example is suppose a soldier is going into battle. He has to kill people, his enemies. So that is his duty at that time. But when he comes back home and he starts shooting people, then what happens? He will be shot immediately and he will be killed. So that's not his duty at that time. Only when he's in the war he can do these things. So we have to understand the individual dharma changes according to various situations, various places and time. So it's very difficult in one sense difficult to understand what is the correct dharma. So how do we know what is the correct dharma? So one of the things which we have to do is, of course, simple would have been to go and ask Amma. Whenever we are having a doubt, we could just go and ask the Amma, right? And ask Amma what is the right thing to do at the right moment. But Amma is not available all the time. Why? Because she wants you to grow up. She doesn't want to give you an easy answer and say every time, she doesn't want to spoon feed you and say, you have to do this, you have to do that. So Amma won't do that. And sometimes even when Amma is there, Amma, when you ask questions to Amma, Amma will say, you do whatever you like. That is another problem. Then you could ask this question, then why did I come to you to ask this question? Right? But then Amma wants us to grow up. That's why. And she doesn't want us to be a small child every time coming to its mother asking questions. So we have to grow up. And then only when we practice dharma, the correct or we choose the right choices, then only we'll grow up. But we will make mistakes. So you should not worry about it. So what? So everybody makes mistakes. There is nobody in this world who does not make mistakes. But that, as Amma says, we should not, if we make mistakes and if we fall into a large hole, we should not sit there thinking, oh, it's so nice here. So we should get up and keep walking. So if we make mistakes, get up and walk. And you have seen so many examples of human beings who have done so many mistakes in their lives, and after meeting great saints, they have started walking in the right path. Mary Magdalene, she was, who was she? So after meeting Christ, then her whole life was changed. And Ratnakaran, who became sage Valmiki later, how did he change? And how did we all change? We don't have to look at others. We ourselves are great examples. How did our lives change? After meeting Amma. And if we still keep on doing the same things again and again, then that is foolishness. So, but we have to get up, walk, and change. But at the same time, we should not get depressed because we were committing mistakes. Mistakes, as Amma says, is in the past. And if you keep thinking about, oh, I did like this when I was, 16 years old, or my parents did not treat me well, I had such a problem, this thing, that thing. So you can keep on crying, looking at all the wounds. That won't help. So you have to get up and walk with confidence. Now that you have Amma, just forget everything. That's what Amma says. The past is a cancelled check. But if you keep on harping about your past and thinking about your past and keep on saying, oh, it was like this, it was like that, why did it happen to me? That is ego and self-centeredness. So we just have to get up and walk and forget about what has had happened. And so we just learn from those mistakes, understand those mistakes had a purpose, and move forward with confidence. So he says the practice of following 30 virtues and disciplines is the common dharma of mankind, which brings on man the grace of the Supreme Divine. So, you remember when Shantamritananda Swami was here, he was explaining in Gita, he said 27. But here, he's giving 30. What are they? These are truth, compassion, austerity, purity, forbearance, discrimination, control of the mind, control of the senses, avoidance of infliction of pain on others, continence, charity, scriptural study, integrity, contentment, service of holy men, gradual withdrawal from works and rituals with selfish motives, preparedness to meet failures of plans and face disappointment, avoidance of too much speech, self-criticism, giving food to other living beings according as they deserve, seeing the Lord in all beings, special perception of divinity in man, and the practice of the highest way of life resorted to by devoted men, consisting in hearing, hymning, and remembrance, worship, salutation, dedication of all actions, friendship, and complete self-surrender, all done with reference to the Supreme Being. So these are the 30 practices, 30 disciplines, virtues and disciplines that has been given to the mankind to follow dharma. So it's not one or two. If it was just one or two, it would have been, in one sense, would have been easy, but also it would have been also difficult, because we know that we don't practice any of this. It's hard to follow, just to follow one or two. But 30 virtues and disciplines have been given to us. Why? Because then we can follow or walk on the path of dharma. So this has been given to us by the Lord himself. As we saw in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna to follow these virtues, all these virtues. So once we follow these virtues, which I can elaborate in the next one, I'll just elaborate once more, because this has to go deep within each one of us, each of these virtues. And so please don't worry right now that you haven't understood all of them, because there are 30 of them. And also, one of the beautiful thing, as Amma says, is if there is a grain of sugar, and an ant comes there, then what happens? Then all the other ants will follow. So you don't have to practice all these 30 virtues also. If you practice one of them, all the rest will follow. I mean, you have to do it truthfully and innocently, and with all your mind and all your effort. So if you follow just one of them, then everything else will follow. So that is the beauty about these 30 virtues. So we will see these virtues in detail in the next session. But understand, this is also, he's saying, the common dharma of mankind. So this is what is common to everyone. So you cannot say, oh, this pertains to only people who are renunciates, or who are brahmacharis or sannyasins. So this is pertaining to everyone, even from a small child to a grown-up or an old person. And it does not matter which ashrama, whether they are in brahmacharya, whether they are in grahasthasrama, vanaprastha, or sannyasa. All these virtues have to be followed by everyone. So we will look into these 30 virtues in the next session. Om Amriteshwariya Namah. अमृतेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी अमृतेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी अमृतेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी ममतामयी करुणामयी ममतामयी करुणामयी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी अमृतेश्वरी जगजीवनी संजीवनी समस्त जीवनेश्वरी जगजीवनी संजीवनी समस्त जीवनेश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी अमृतेश्वरी पालिनी जगतारिणी प्रतिबलभुवन हृदयेश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी अमृतेश्वरी तमहारिणी शुभकारिणी मनमोहिनी विश्वेश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी अमृतेश्वरी ममतामयी दया करो तुम गणेश हमको निहारो करुणा से, सुबुद्धि दे दो विपत्ति हर लो तुम ही सहारा हो।
दया करो तुम गणेश हमको निहारो करुणा से, सुबुद्धि दे दो विपत्ति हर लो तुम ही सहारा हो।
दया करो तुम गणेश हमको निहारो करुणा से, सुबुद्धि दे दो विपत्ति हर लो तुम ही सहारा हो।
दया करो तुम गणेश हमको निहारो
जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश वरदो गजास्य वरदो वरदो विघ्नहरा तुम्हारी करुणा हमारे ऊपर सदा बनी रहे जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गिरीन्द्र नंदिनी सुपुत्र हो तुम भक्तों के वरदाता महेश नंदन तुम्हें हमारा प्रणाम है देवा
महेश नंदन तुम्हें हमारा प्रणाम है देवा
जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 दया करो तुम गणेश हमको निहारो करुणा से सुबुद्धि दे दो विपत्ति हर लो तुम ही सहारा हो
दया करो तुम गणेश हमको निहारो करुणा से सुबुद्धि दे दो विपत्ति हर लो तुम्हें सहारा
जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय 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 गणेश जय गणेश जय जय जय
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं बालकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं बोलो जय 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 गोपी श्री कृष्ण 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 कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं देवगीतनय यशोदबालं देवगीतनयं यशोदबालं राधाविलोलं मानसचोरम् राधाविलोलं मानसचोरम् बोलो जय 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 गोपी श्री कृष्ण बोलो जय 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 गोपी श्री कृष्ण कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं वेदान्तसारं गीतोपदेशं वेदान्तसारं गीतोपदेशं 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 पूर्णावतारं कृष्णगोपालं पूर्णावतारं कृष्णगोपालं साधु संरक्षणं राधे गोपालं साधु संरक्षणं राधे गोपालं बोलो जय 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 गोपी श्री कृष्ण बोलो जय 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 गोपी श्री कृष्ण बोलो जय 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 गोपी श्री कृष्ण कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं बालकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल 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 जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता
भक्ति का दान दे माँ प्रेम का दान दे माँ भक्ति का दान दे माँ प्रेम का दान दे माँ तेरी कृपा हो हम पे मादा वरदे मादा जगदम्बे मादा
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता
वरदे मादा जगदम्बे माता
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता
दास में तेरे चरणों का,
दास में तेरे चरणों का,
दास में तेरे चरणों का,
दास में तेरे चरणों का।
मेरे प्राण भी तू है मादे,
मेरे प्राण भी तू है माते,
मेरे प्राण भी तू है मादे,
मेरे प्राण भी तू है माते।
माँ तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं,
तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं,
माँ तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं,
तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं।
प्रेममयी करुणामयी,
प्रेममयी करुणामयी,
प्रेममयी करुणामयी,
प्रेममयी करुणामयी।
शतकोटि प्रणाम चरणों में,
कोटि प्रणाम चरणों में,
शतकोटि प्रणाम चरणों में।
कोटि प्रणाम चरणों में।
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता,
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता,
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता,
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता।
जिसने भी मांगा तुझको पुकारा, सब संकट दूर उसने पाया।
जिसने भी माता तुझको पुकारा, सब संकट दूर उसने पाया।
जो तेरे दरबार में आया, मन में शांति तूने जगाया।
जो तेरे दरबार में आया, मन में शांति तूने जगाया।
माँ तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं,
तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं,
माँ तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं,
तेरे जैसा तो कोई नहीं।
प्रेममयी करुणामयी,
प्रेममयी करुणामयी,
प्रेममयी करुणामयी,
प्रेममयी करुणामयी।
सदकोटि प्रणाम चरणों में,
कोटि प्रणाम चरणों में,
सदकोटि प्रणाम चरणों में।
कोटि प्रणाम चरणों में।
वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता,
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 वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता।
प्रेम का दान दे माँ, वीर का मान दे माँ, भक्ति का दान दे माँ,
प्रेम का दान दे माँ,
भक्ति का दान दे माँ, प्रेम का दान दे माँ, तेरी कृपा हो हम पे माता, वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे 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 माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे 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 माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता, वरदे माता जगदम्बे माता, जगदम्बे माता, जगदम्बे माता, जगदम्बे माता। अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलं प्रणमदा, मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलं भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलं, सुकृतिना एकाश्रये मङ्गलम्। अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलं प्रणमदा, मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलं भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलं, सुकृतिना एकाश्रये मङ्गलम्। हृदयेश्वरी मङ्गलं हृदिलसत्तेजोर्मयी मङ्गलम्, मृदुभाषिणी मङ्गलं विजयदा प्रेमाग्रदे मङ्गलं, विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मङ्गलं, विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मङ्गलम्। ॐ जय जय जग जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मङ्गलहारति माधवभवानी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी जनमन निज सुखदायिनी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी मंगलकारिणी वन्दे जननी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी सकलागम निगमादिषु चरिते अमृतानन्दमयी निखिलमयहर जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेमरसामृत वर्षिणी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी निखिल भक्ति संदायिनी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी शमदमदायिनी मनलयकारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी सददं मम हृदि वसदा देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी परिदोद्धार निरंतर हृदये अमृतानन्दमयी परमहंस पद निलये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी हे श्रुत जन परिवालिनी जयदा अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानन्दमयी सहज समाधिषु धन्ये देवी अमृतानंदमये माता अमृतानंदमये माता अमृतानंदमये माता अमृतानंदमये ओम जय जय जगजननी वंदे अमृतानंदमयी मंगल आरती माता भवानी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी। जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।